may not know it, but today is actually Arbor Day here in Texas. So joining us to talk about how to make sure you take care of your trees in your yard is Dave Madden. He is an arborist with Davey Tree. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, so why Arbor Day in November here in Texas?
Well, Arbor Day actually started I think this is 126 years, 1889. They held it in Temple. The next year it was in Austin and numerous other Texas cities, and hey, it caught on. Here we are 129 years later. I think it probably starts in early November simply because this is kind of the kickoff of planting season.
Yeah.
Good time, summer's back is broken, and it's time to get those trees in the ground and get them off to a good start and get them ready for next spring.
Because the baby trees do not like the heat, and we don't get a ton of rain too.
You can plant them in the summer, but you're going to be a slave to keeping that puppy watered and keeping it alive.
Yeah, is there a certain tree that you should think about planting on Arbor Day?
Well, we always like to encourage planting indigenous trees. Our native trees are the best and adapted to our soils and our environment here in Texas. The live oak and red oak are one of our prominent trees. We're encouraging people a little bit to diversify and go to some of the other oaks because of oak wilt, a serious fungal disease that's killing a lot of our old native oaks. So we encourage people to go with maybe the Monterey oak, chinkapin oak, bur oak, lacy oak, our native cedar elm, our state tree, the pecan. There's a lot of choices.
Yeah,
So
and when you pick one, is this the time of year where you have to water it a ton when you put it in the ground?
you're not going to be nearly as much as a slave to watering it because it's not going to dry out as much. We're getting some rains, but it still requires monitoring. And sometimes it's simply a matter of sticking your finger in the ground. There's no prescribed water X number of hours, X number of days, because it depends on the weather and what your soils are like. So you do need to check on that tree, stick your finger in the ground, and make sure it doesn't get too dry.
Well, and speaking of the rain falling from the sky, we had some video to show of a home out in West Austin where a tree ended up falling down as a result of all the rain we received. How can you tell that you might have a potential tree in your yard that could fall when we receive all this rain and the ground becomes so wet?
We've certainly been busy of late, like we were back in May and June. I think it's a matter of Arbor Day, we typically think more of planting trees. There's going to be, I'm sure, tree planting ceremonies all over the state today, but we do also have to take heed that we are stewards of our older native trees. And so it's advisable to have a certified arborist inspect those trees periodically, especially if they're mature trees. A certified arborist will have certain things to look for to find out if there is hazard potential in that tree. You may look for bark missing on the tree, evidence of decay, evidence of wood boring or wood destroying insects or ants that might be inside the tree. They're there because there's something going on, and a certified arborist can inspect that tree and determine whether it needs further investigation, maybe some bolstering to reduce the risk factors, and unfortunately sometimes removal.
All right, good information. Dave with Davey Tree, thank you so much. We
bet.
certainly appreciate your time.